Today, we are going to be discussing books and theories that are super interesting, but also massively divisive, not only within the scientific, academic and archaeological community, but also amongst everyday people. 10 years ago, I was given a thumping tome of a book called Slave Species of the Gods, written by South African author Michael Tellinger and first published in 2009. It made a compelling, if somewhat laborious read, but it also left me with many unanswered questions. Before we can launch into this book, it's important that we go back to another rather intriguing chap called Zecharia Sitchin, because he was one of Tellinger's primary inspirations. Sitchin was an author and researcher known for his controversial theories about ancient civilizations and extraterrestrial influences on human history. His most famous work is the Earth Chronicles series, which includes books such as The 12th Planet and The Lost Realms. Sitchin proposed the concept of ancient astronauts, suggesting that ancient texts and artifacts provide evidence of advanced extraterrestrial beings visiting Earth in the distant past. He claimed that these beings, which the Sumerian texts refer to as deities called the Anunnaki, genetically engineered humans and used them as laborers to mine gold, and that their presence was hugely influential on early human civilizations and shaping human development. Sitchin interpreted ancient Mesopotamian texts, particularly Sumerian mythology, to support his theories. He believed that the Anunnaki came from the planet Nibiru, which had an elongated orbit that brought it close to Earth every few thousand years. He described the Anunnaki as humanoid in appearance and being somewhat larger in stature. However, his interpretations were criticized by many scholars, who said that he was taking the texts out of context. They also said that there was no scientific evidence to support his claims about the Anunnaki, but we will get into that a little further down the line. Please also note that both Sitchin's and Tellinger's work is very detailed and extensive, and I won't be able to cover it in great depth in this video. Despite the aforementioned criticism, Sitchin's books were popular and gained a following of readers who were inspired and convinced by his ideas, which were seen as a way to explain the origins of human civilization. Sitchin's theories also tapped into the public's interest in ancient aliens. The author died in 2010 at the age of 90, with his life's mission left incomplete. Shortly before he passed, Sitchin hoped to have DNA tests done on the 4,500-year-old remains of Sumerian Queen Puabi, which were unearthed in Iraq in the early 20th century. He'd rather hoped that he could put his theory on the presence of alien DNA in humans to rest. To date, this DNA research has not been conducted, and I'm pretty sure that the many fans of his work would be very interested to see the results. That being said, Sitchin wasn't the only author to explore these concepts, nor the only person of influence for Tellinger. Chariots of the Gods is a book written by Erich von Däniken and first published in 1968. In this book, von Däniken presents the hypothesis that ancient civilizations had interactions with advanced extraterrestrial beings. Von Däniken examines various enigmatic artifacts, structures, and ancient artworks from around the world to support his theory. He highlights examples such as the pyramids of Egypt, Stonehenge, the Nazca lines, and ancient cave paintings, which he suggests possess characteristics and knowledge beyond the capabilities of ancient humans. Von Däniken put forward that many ancient religious texts, myths, and legends contain accounts of advanced technology and events, and he interprets these accounts as potential descriptions of extraterrestrial encounters, spacecraft, or advanced scientific knowledge. He also suggested that the cross-cultural similarities in ancient mythologies, religious beliefs and ancient texts are evidence of a common influence by extraterrestrial beings, and that similar motifs, symbols and stories found in different civilizations indicate a shared knowledge of contact with advanced beings. Looking towards the skies, von Däniken explores astronomical alignments and their potential significance in ancient monuments and structures. Like many other authors and theorists, He suggests that these alignments could have served as markers or beacons for extraterrestrial visitors. Graham Hancock, a British author and journalist, has also explored various alternative theories and ideas related to ancient civilizations, archaeology and human history. While he hasn't specifically focused on the Anunnaki or the mining of gold, his works often touch upon subjects that intersect with these topics, although it must be mentioned that Hancock does not always agree with Tellinger's conclusions. Hancock has investigated ancient megalithic structures and sacred sites worldwide, such as the Great Pyramids of Egypt, Stonehenge and various underwater sites. He proposes that these structures may hold hidden symbolism and astronomical alignments, suggesting a sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics. For instance, the alignment of the Great Pyramids of Giza with the Orion constellation has been proposed as evidence of ancient Egyptian knowledge of astronomy and geometry. For example, stone monuments of Machu Picchu in Peru or the temples of Angkor Wat in Cambodia, with their precision and intricate design, suggest a level of engineering expertise that challenges conventional explanations of the technological capabilities of that time period. Hancock also examines various artifacts that raise questions about our understanding of ancient civilizations. One particular artifact of great interest is the Antikythera mechanism, an ancient Greek device believed to be an early analog computer. Another design of interest is a recurring motif that appears in ancient art and architecture all over the world, which Hancock, in the Netflix series Ancient Apocalypse, describes rather amusingly as the handbag motif. Hancock suggests that the handbag motif is a representation of a cosmic womb, or a portal to another dimension. He cites examples of this motif from sites as diverse as Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, Gunung Padang in Indonesia, and Puma Punku in Bolivia. Some archaeologists have dismissed the handbag motif as a coincidence, or as a decorative element that has no religious or symbolic significance. However, Hancock believes that the handbag motif is a powerful symbol that has been used by ancient cultures to communicate with the gods or other supernatural beings. This brings to mind a quote by an unknown source that says, "The handbag is a woman's portal to the universe. It's where she keeps her passport, her credit cards, and her sense of adventure." I do find myself wondering if these motifs were actual handbags of some sort, or just symbols. I guess we'll never know. Hancock observes that the handbag motif is often found in association with other symbols of fertility and creation, such as the vulva and the spiral. He also notes that the handbag motif is regularly seen in places that are considered to be sacred or magical, such as ancient temples and burial sites. While Hancock's interpretation of the handbag motif is disputed by mainstream thinkers, it's generated a lot of interest in this ancient symbol. Another person worth looking at when it comes to alternative theories on the origins of civilizations, and our understanding of ancient cultures, is John Anthony West. He was an American author and Egyptologist who is best known for his work on the Sphinx water erosion hypothesis, and he was someone who inspired both Sitchin and Tellinger. He believed that the Sphinx was much older than previously thought, and that it was originally carved during the early dynastic period, around 3100 to 2686 BC. In addition to his work on the Sphinx, West was also a proponent of the Atlantean hypothesis. He believed that the Sphinx was built by a civilization that was descended from Atlantis, and that this civilization was responsible for many of the great monuments and artworks of the ancient world. He also thought that it was possible that ancient aliens may have visited Earth and influenced the development of early civilizations. West wasn't an ancient aliens guy in quite the same way as Erich von Däniken or Zecharia Sitchin. He didn't think that aliens were the only explanation for the Sphinx's water erosion or other mysterious aspects of ancient Egypt. He just thought that it was possible that they may have played a role. In his book Serpent in the Sky, West wrote that he wasn't an advocate of the ancient astronaut theory, and that he believed that the ancient Egyptians were a highly intelligent people who were capable of great achievements, but felt that it might be possible they may have received some help from outside sources. West believed that the evidence for ancient aliens was inconclusive, but that it was important to keep an open mind about the possibility. He also felt we should respect the cultures of the past, and avoid making assumptions about their capabilities. To his detractors, West reacted with this somewhat pithy quote, "Few things in this world are more predictable than the reaction of conventional minds to unconventional ideas, and I think this could be true of all of the authors and researchers I'm covering today." If you'd like to dive into his work more deeply, I'll leave links to these, and all the other books I've mentioned, in the description box below. It's clear to see that there are many great minds, past and present, who provide alternative theories to the mainstream, and attempt to answer questions that remain unanswered, or have an unsatisfactory solution to questions about our history. The three people I've discussed have directly influenced Tellinger. The key themes of the book revolve around building upon Sitchin's hypotheses, and presenting supporting evidence in ancient texts and artifacts. Much of Tellinger's research work primarily focuses on the exploration of ancient civilizations and human origins in southern Africa, particularly in relation to his theories about the Anunnaki and their influence on humanity. There's been a lot of criticism leveled at both Sitchin and Tellinger for their interpretations of ancient texts, and while there's no definitive evidence to support the existence of the Anunnaki or the planet Nibiru, this is not my area of focus today. Like Sitchin, Tellinger believes that alien space travelers used their advanced technology to genetically engineer humans from hominids, using some of their own DNA. According to this theory, the purpose was to create a slave species, smart enough to take instructions and do manual labor, but not smart enough to stage a coup d'etat on their masters, so to speak. And this is what we're going to look at today. Do we have evidence of this in the human genome? Tellinger supports his theory by pointing out that the human genome contains genetic markers that he says are not found in any other primates, namely signs or short interspersed nuclear elements. To understand signs, let's imagine a book that's full of words. Some of the words in the book are repeated over and over again. These repeated words are like signs. They're not essential to the meaning of the book, but they are still there. The signs in the human genome are like the repeated words in the book. They're not essential to our DNA, but they're still present, and we don't know exactly why. Signs are not found in all animals, and they're more common in some animals than in others. For example, signs make up about 13% of the human genome, but they only make up about 1% of the chimp genome. Tellinger believes that the presence of signs in the human genome is evidence of ancient alien visitation. He thinks that the aliens may have introduced signs into the human genome, whether by accident or design. The exact origin of signs in the human genome is not fully understood, and some scientists believe it to have accumulated over evolutionary time. Both science and the alternative theorists have their own ideas about it, and they're all best guesses. I suggest it's up to the individual to decide which theory you think is more likely. Tellinger also talks about junk DNA, which is a term used to describe DNA that does not appear to have any function. He's argued that junk DNA is not actually junk at all, but is instead a form of encrypted information that was left behind by ancient aliens. He believes that this information could be used to decode the Anunnaki's language and learn more about their culture and history. The term junk DNA refers to the portions of the DNA sequence that don't appear to code for proteins or have a known function. In the past, scientists believed that these non-coding regions of DNA were functionally irrelevant or junk remnants of evolutionary processes. However, in recent years our understanding of junk DNA has evolved. Advances in genomic research have revealed that these non-coding regions play various roles in gene regulation, chromosome structure, and other cellular processes. Many non-coding regions have been found to contain regulatory elements that control gene expression, including enhancers, silencers, and non-coding RNA molecules. In fact, You may already be familiar with RNA molecules, which were involved in COVID-19 vaccine research. Two of the most widely used vaccines, the Pfizer vaccine and the Moderna vaccine, are both based on messenger RNA technology. The concept of junk DNA has been a topic of much debate within the scientific community. While the term junk implies a lack of function, it's increasingly recognized that the non-coding regions of DNA have important functional roles, even if they don't directly encode proteins, and this area is one of ongoing research in the scientific community. It appears that Tellinger's claims about junk DNA are based on a misunderstanding of the scientific literature, and it looks as if he may have misinterpreted the findings of a number of studies, which led to incorrect conclusions. So while it's fascinating, I'm not convinced that this particular argument regarding junk DNA stacks up against the evidence. There's another person who's also been looking into the Anunnaki and DNA, and what she's come up with is worth discussing. Dr. Heather Lynn is an author, researcher and archaeologist who specializes in ancient mysteries, alternative history, and the occult. She holds a PhD in the history of religions, and has conducted extensive research on various topics related to ancient civilizations, mythology, and esoteric traditions. She's also written several books, including The Anunnaki Connection, which explores the connection between ancient Sumerian gods, the Anunnaki, and their potential influence on human history. And rather interestingly, she brings up a number of genetic studies that she believes support the theory that the Anunnaki were responsible for creating humanity. One of the studies that Dr. Lynn cites is a 2001 study published in the journal Nature. This study found that a small percentage of human DNA appears to be of non-human origin. Lynn suggests that this non-human DNA is evidence of the Anunnaki's genetic intervention in human evolution. Another study she cites is a 2002 study published in the journal Genome Research. This study found that one particular gene, called the FOXP2 gene, is found in humans and chimpanzees, but it is not found in any other animals. Dr. Lynn believes that this is evidence of the Anunnaki's genetic manipulation of humanity. The FOXP2 gene is responsible for the development of the motor cortex, which is the part of the brain that controls speech and language production. It's also involved in the development of other cognitive abilities, such as learning and memory. However, it must be pointed out that these studies haven't been universally accepted by the scientific community. Some scientists have argued that the non-human DNA found in humans could be the result of a natural process, such as horizontal gene transfer. Others have argued that the FOXP2 gene is not unique to humans, and that it can be found in other animals. While it's true that FOXP2 has undergone certain evolutionary changes that are specific to humans, versions of this gene have been identified in other mammals, including primates like chimps and macaques, but also non-primate species, like mice and songbirds. Ultimately, the evidence from genetic research is inconclusive. There is no clear scientific consensus on whether or not the Anunnaki were responsible for creating humanity. However, the studies that Lynn cites do provide some interesting food for thought, and support Tellinger's ideas. Ultimately, whether or not you believe the Anunnaki DNA theory is a matter of personal belief. While there's no scientific consensus or concrete evidence on the existence of the Anunnaki, these books do provide a fascinating and thought-provoking exploration of this possibility. Carl Sagan's famous quote that we are made of starstuff captures the remarkable connection between the elements that make up our bodies and the processes that occur within stars. Atoms, the building blocks of matter, are formed inside stars through a process called nuclear fusion. Stars are incredibly hot and dense environments where hydrogen atoms fuse together to form helium, releasing a tremendous amount of energy in the process. As stars age, and undergo various stages of stellar evolution, heavier elements like carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, and iron are also synthesized through fusion reactions. These newly formed elements are dispersed into space when stars explode in spectacular supernova events, scattering the enriched stellar material, including the heavy elements, into the surrounding space. Over billions of years, this material mixes with other interstellar clouds and dust, eventually forming new stars, planetary systems, and even our own planet. On Earth, the complex molecules and compounds necessary for life, including DNA, are built using these elemental building blocks. The atoms that make up DNA, such as carbon, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and hydrogen, were originally formed within ancient stars billions of years ago. They were then incorporated into molecules through various chemical processes here on planet Earth, and this includes our own DNA. When we say we are made of stars, we are expressing the fascinating reality that the atoms and elements within our bodies, including those in our DNA, were once forged inside stars through stellar nucleosynthesis. It's a poetic way of highlighting the deep connection between the cosmic origins of the elements and our existence as conscious beings on this planet. If we have to ask ourselves the question, do we have alien DNA? I think that the answer, from both science and from the fascinating minds who explore the concepts of ancient astronauts, is yes, in one way or another. Whether this arises from the organic process of stellar activity, or the visitation of superior beings, it's your choice to make. Since we have no unambiguous records of our origins, and are left with only tantalizing hints and mysterious symbols from the past to ponder upon, we can either rely on mainstream scientific inquiry, or explore the alternative viewpoints, and form our own conclusions. While there might not be evidence for Sitchin and Tellinger's description of Nibiru, or indeed, the existence of the Anunnaki, this is not to say that there aren't aliens out there, or that these beings never visited the Earth. In fact, in 2021, I walked out onto my veranda one summer evening to gaze at the night sky. To my utter astonishment, I saw an unidentified flying object over the sea, slightly to the right. I stood gawping at the thing for about 3 to 4 minutes, my jaw literally at my feet. I didn't have my phone with me, so I memorized it instead. I carefully counted the lights as they rotated. There were 9 of them, and as they moved from left to right, before disappearing and reappearing again at the left, the third light across flashed brightly for a second. There were just 2 words ringing in my head: holy shit. I couldn't tell the size or proximity of the craft, because it was dark, and I had nothing to measure it against. And then, in a millisecond, it quite literally disappeared. I know that this sounds like the classic UFO cliché, but it was absolutely real and completely unexpected, and I was thrilled by this experience. But I was left with the thought that somewhere, on a planet far, far away, a group of aliens are sharing snaps of their holiday, with one of the photos showing a wide-mouthed local staring at them in disbelief. And this leads me rather nicely to my final question. Are aliens advanced artificial intelligence? The idea that aliens are actually artificial intelligence beings is a fascinating one, and it's a theory that's been gaining traction in recent years. There are a number of reasons why this might be plausible. Firstly, as we've seen, the development of artificial intelligence is progressing rapidly. It's quite possible that an advanced alien civilization could have developed artificial intelligence to a much higher level, and that these AIs could have become so sophisticated that they are now indistinguishable from life forms. Secondly, if humans were created by aliens, then it's possible that the aliens themselves were artificial intelligence, and this infers that AI could be a much more ancient and advanced form of life than we currently realize. If we view it through this lens, the ability of these aliens to live in and travel through environments that are hostile to humans would start to make more sense. Thirdly, there are a number of unexplained phenomena that have been observed in our solar system and beyond, that could be evidence of artificial intelligence, and I think we should briefly look at them. The WOW signal was a strong radio signal that was detected on August 15, 1977, by Jerry Emmon, a radio astronomer at the Big Ear Radio Telescope in Ohio. The signal was of a very narrow bandwidth, and it was much stronger than any other signal that had been detected from space before. Eman was so surprised by the signal that he wrote the word "wow" next to it on the printout of the data. The wow signal was only detected for a brief period of time, and it's never been detected again. There are a number of possible explanations for the signal, including natural phenomena such as solar flares or pulsars. However, some people believe that the signal was artificial in origin, and that it may have been sent by an alien civilization. Oumuamua was a cigar-shaped object that passed through our solar system in 2017. It was the first interstellar object ever detected in our solar system. Oumuamua was about the size of a football field, and it was made of a material that was unlike anything that had been seen before. We know this because of its reflectance spectrum, which is a measure of how much light an object reflects at different wavelengths. The reflectance spectrum of Oumuamua was very different from the reflectance spectra of comets and asteroids, which are the two main types of interstellar objects that we know of. The reflectance spectrum of Oumuamua showed that it was reflecting reddish light, like comets and some asteroids in our solar system, but it also reflected more blue light than is commonly seen in astral bodies. It was this combination that makes it unique. Scientists have proposed a number of possible explanations for the material that Oumuamua was made of. One possibility is that it was made of organic materials, such as carbon or methane. Another possibility is that it was made of metallic iron. It's also possible that it was made of a material that we have not yet discovered. Some scientists believe that it was a natural object, such as a comet or an asteroid, while others believe that it was inorganic, and that it may have been a probe from an extraterrestrial civilization. The bloop was a loud underwater sound that was detected in 1997. The sound was so loud that it was picked up by seismographs all over the world. The source of the sound is still unknown, but some people believe that it may have been caused by an artificial object, such as a submarine or a satellite. Fast radio bursts, or FRBs, are brief, intense bursts of radio waves that come from space. FRBs are very mysterious, and their origin is still unknown. Some scientists believe that FRBs may be caused by natural phenomena, such as neutron-star collisions, and others believe that they may be caused by artificial objects, such as alien probes. The dancing lights of Hessdalen are a series of unexplained lights that have been seen in the Hessdalen Valley in Norway since the 1930s. The lights are often described as being bright, white, and cigar-shaped. They've been seen moving in a variety of ways, including hovering, darting, and zigzagging. The origin of the dancing lights is still unknown. Some believe that they may be caused by natural phenomena, such as ball lightning or St. Elmo's fire. These are just a few examples of unexplained phenomena that have been observed in our solar system and beyond, and it's possible that some of these phenomena may be evidence of artificial intelligence. However, more research is needed to determine the true nature of these strange happenings. The idea that aliens are actually artificial intelligence is a complex and fascinating one, and I believe it's a topic that's likely to be debated for many years to come. In the final analysis, I personally maintain an open mind. I'm not alone in asking these questions, and nor am I the only earthly witness of unidentified craft in the skies. There's something endlessly intriguing about the idea that we are not alone in this universe. And with that, as I said earlier, if you're keen to read any of the books I've mentioned, the links to purchase them are below. I'm super interested to hear what you think about this subject and very much look forward to your comments. Until we meet again, keep being the star stuff that you are, and stay tuned for more mind-expanding content. Hasta la vista.